Hey there, entrepreneur. I'm Nicole Holland, host of the Business Building Rockstars Show, and today I have a very special, unexpected treat. Last week, I interviewed Roeder, the founder and CEO of Edgar, one of the most progressive social media scheduling systems available today. And I am such a fan that after our interview, I decided to put this out as a special bonus rather than putting it out when I was originally planning to put it out. And the reason I'm putting it out as a bonus is because you, my dear listener, are getting some very, very special, exciting stuff after this episode. So listen to the end and find out what the big reveal is, because it is, wow, if you're an entrepreneur and you aren't already completely killing it and have all of your stuff dialed in, then you're going to want to hear this. So we did talk, as usual, about Laura's own personal journey, but I went a little overboard maybe on gushing about Edgar because I love this software. It's literally saved me probably at least 10 hours a week and allowed me to get more engaged and build better connections with my listeners, with my guests, and with my clients. And so I just couldn't contain myself. I had to share. I was super excited. And I hope you get a ton of value from this interview. Make sure you stay to the end. Make sure you listen to my outro. It's not the normal ending that you're used to. This bonus is really special, and I have got a doozy of a gift for you if you listen to the end. So, okay, I'm going to turn it over, let you get right into the interview, and I'll be back to share at the end. Hello, welcome entrepreneurs. This is Nicole Holland on the Business Building Rockstars Show. And today I have a very special guest, Roeder. She's the founder of Edgar, which is perhaps the coolest social media automation tool ever. It's designed to prevent status updates from going to waste and allows users to actually earn hours of their life back while they grow and nurture their communities. Since 2009, Laura's online courses have taught tens of thousands of entrepreneurs how to harness the power of social media, and she's been on stage at great conferences like Blog Her and South by Southwest. And she's even spoken at the White House about the value of independent entrepreneurship. You may also recognize Laura from being featured in leading publications such as Forbes, Fast Company, Mashable, CNET, and many, many more. Laura, welcome to the Business Building Rockstar Show.
Thank you, Nicole. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. So before we get into your story, do you want to let our listeners know a little bit more about your day-to-day, what you do, how you serve and support your people?
Yeah, so I'm the CEO of a software company, Edgar. We have 18 employees, so I spend my day kind of overseeing our team, making sure we're on track and that everyone's communicating well and we're all kind of moving towards the same goal.
Awesome. So, how did this happen? Because, 18 employees, that's huge or not huge, but I mean, it's a far cry from, just a coach and serving people with helping them learn about social media strategy. How did this all kind of come to play?
Yeah, so I've been in the social media marketing space for a long time. I've had a social media training company since 2009. And when we launched Edgar in 2014, basically the idea came about because we were teaching the certain methodology of doing social media marketing where you put all your updates in a spreadsheet and then you cycle through them and it's all color coded and complicated, and if you have an image, you can't really put it in a spreadsheet. So there was still a lot of busy work involved, a lot of grunt work and loading all the updates into a scheduling tool. And I just thought, why isn't there software that can do this process that we're teaching? Why do we still have to put so many man hours in it? And that's how Edgar was created. It was really created to serve my company's own needs. I thought people might use it because they were already using this process. So I figured, well, if they're doing the process manually, using software that'll get it done automatically will probably be appealing.
Yeah. And then when you thought that and you kind of put it out, what was the response?
We had a really strong response really early. So, this is a relatively new company. Edgar's a little under 2 years old, but it's not like we were starting from zero. So we had a small team from the training company. I had been building up a list for 5 years. So we had a list of 75,000 people that were interested in social media marketing. And a certain amount of people have thought of the same idea of how Edgar works. A certain amount of our customers come to us saying, I've been, copying and pasting my updates from a spreadsheet and I've been waiting for someone to build this. And we do have a pretty unique feature set. We're the only tool that stores a categorized library of all your updates and then keeps sending them out in perpetuity. So with Edgar, you don't schedule updates one by one. You say, I want this category to go out at a certain time. And then Edgar pulls from that category and just keeps pulling from that category, just keeps cycling through the updates you have. So because we offer something different than was out there before, we got a pretty strong response and we've grown quickly. We now have 5,000 customers and we're just a little under 2 years old.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I really want to highlight that for our listeners, that it wasn't that you had the idea for the software and then it just happened overnight. You spent a lot of time previously building that list up, making those connections, teaching people and giving them value before you then came up with the idea, wait a minute, this is a problem I have. This is a problem my company has. This is a problem my clients have. Let's just solve it. So I think a lot of times people, when they're starting out, they have the idea of this bigger thing. Well, I'm going to solve people's problems by doing this. But they don't give that idea the time to gestate. What's that? The word gestate? Yeah. And be born properly. And they just try and jump ahead. And that's why a lot of times they don't work out. So I love hearing about Edgar's story. I love Edgar. I'm a raving fan.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. And I was doing this same thing. So between me and my VA, we were spending a lot of hours scheduling. And it was like, once we found a scheduling tool, I was using Hootsuite, and it really served a purpose. And it saved me a lot of time from what I had been doing previously. Then once I learned about Edgar and I started playing with this, I literally was laughing and singing and celebrating with my VA. And it was I've literally won hours back in my life since I started.
Yeah. I love hearing that so much. Edgar is a massive time saver. And it's almost kind of funny to me when people are sort of skeptical, is it really different from other tools? Because sometimes it's a little hard to understand. And I'm like, if you knew how much time we were going to save you, you would be really excited right now. Because we take away all that time that you used to spend, every morning or every week scheduling every update one by one. You just don't have to do it anymore.
Yeah. And I think for somebody like me, what kept me skeptical about using automation tools is I'm so passionate about actually connecting with the audience. I don't ever want to be a billboard. I don't ever want to be somebody who is just putting stuff out and doesn't really care. They're just advertise. I really, really value the relationships I have with my audience. And so when I finally got in there and started playing, I was like, oh my gosh, with all your categories and stuff and the timing, and you can choose different types of things to go out on different social platforms. So your system even prompts people to add something for a Facebook post, because you don't want to put the same thing out on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn. So I love that it's so intuitive to somebody who really does care about cultivating a community and isn't just in there to blast people. Because I think that's a holdup for a lot of people when we talk about scheduling software.
No, you're totally right. I think that's such a great point, is people hear words like automation and they're like, I don't want to be a cold, lifeless robot, especially on social media. I'm there connecting with my community. And what we're big believers in is let software do what software can do so that you have time to do what only you can do. Software cannot form a relationship with your audience. Software cannot, click the like button and you've actually liked it, right? You've actually read what they've posted and you can chat to them about it later. Those are all the human parts of interacting and building your community, forming relationships with your customers and your prospects. Those are the parts that you should be doing. There's no reason that you need to be choosing from a drop-down menu Thursday at 3:32 p.m. Let software handle that. And all your audience sees is the update, right? They don't care, or they usually don't know if you send it out on your phone or on a tool or on twitter.com. That really doesn't matter to them. And it actually allows you to have much better updates using a tool like Edgar, because you can actually sit down and put thought into what you're sending out. You can curate instead of the panic, like, oh no, I haven't posted on social today. I have to come up with something to send out.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I really enjoy doing is that for all of my guests, like me and my team, we go in there and we find some of their great evergreen content, and we find some great blog posts or some great stuff that they've put out. And we were putting it on a spreadsheet and scheduling it out. And now it's like, holy cow, I can go grab this great content from all these people who I want to support, who are on the show, who I want to share about their stuff, not just their episode, but also what they're doing. And I can go in there, grab some great stuff. And it's like, boom, it's in the queue. I've got right now, I think I've got like 3,500 tweets for, just content from partners, because you just make it so easy. So I love it. Love it. Okay, cool. So enough about Edgar for now. Let's talk about you. So I want to take you way back to the beginning when you were a little girl, which I guess isn't too long ago, but let's go way back before people were telling you, what you could do, what you couldn't do, when you were really little and you thought, I want to be this when I grow up. Did you have a dream like that?
I didn't have just one thing I wanted to be. My dad is an architect, so that was always interesting to me. And I've always liked various types of design. I really loved reading and writing when I was a kid. So something around there, but I wasn't one of those kids that's like, I want to be a doctor. And, I knew exactly what I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And then did you just go right into entrepreneurship, or was there a gradual transition for that?
It was pretty much right into it for me. So I've only had one real job as a junior graphic designer, and I quit that when I was 22 to start working for myself. So it's been about 10 years now, and I've been totally full-time self-employed ever since. So yeah, I started working for myself young.
And when you started out, what were you thinking business would be for you? Like, what was your first iteration of entrepreneurship?
So my first iteration was freelance web and print design. So I made websites for local businesses. I designed, business cards and letterhead, which now I'm like, do companies still make letterhead? Is that, I don't know if my company doesn't have letterhead. I don't know if that's still a thing. But yeah, so it was a service business. I think a service business is such a great way to start out. I mean, not just start out. It can be a great long-term business as well. But the really cool thing about a service business is you can get money in the door right away. When you're selling a service, all you need is to find one person to buy what you're selling. You can get some money in. In a lot of services, you put money down up front. In design, it's normal to do half up front and half when the project is finished. So it's just a great way to start learning the ropes of business very quickly.
And then at what point did you shift away from doing that one-on-one model?
So I started working for myself in 2007, and in 2009 is when I launched training information products. So that was my first time shifting away from the one-on-one. I went from web design to doing social media consulting, which very quickly turned into social media training. And I just loved that model because to me, it was just an easier way to make money. The first webinar that I ever did to sell my first course, it was a course about Twitter. And I remember I made $3,000 from that course. And I was like, I used to chase down a contract for months, to be able to make $3,000. It came much more naturally and easily to me to do the training model than the one-on-one consulting. Some people find the opposite. They're like, I could close consulting clients all day, but the training feels hard. For me, I just found that was it was kind of better suited to my talents, especially having a background creating websites. I mean, now it's a lot easier to make courses, but then you had to kind of custom code your own sites to deliver the courses. And I knew how to do all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. And would you say were there any stumbling blocks or hurdles that you were up against when you were in that process of going from one to many?
Yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, it's just it's a little bit different way to think about things, and your marketing needs to be at a much broader scale, because when you're selling consulting, when you're selling one-on-one, your I guess close rate is much higher. Not everyone says yes, but if only like 10% of people that you had meetings with said yes, that would be really low. When you're selling something, like you're having a proposal meeting, which is how it was in design, like you're kind of having that meeting because they're probably going to say yes. Maybe they're having it with you and like one other designer, and sometimes you lose out. Whereas when you're doing one-to-many, it's more like you're building up a larger list. You have a lot of people on your list that are never going to buy. You have a lot of followers that are never going to buy. So you're closing a much, much smaller percentage. So the numbers that you're working with need to be bigger. You can't, if you're selling training, you can't just have 10 prospects. You might need 100 prospects in order to sell 10 spots.
Yeah, I love that you bring that up, because I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with. I know a lot of my clients do struggle with just wrapping their head around that, right? Mm-hmm. Like they think, okay, I'm going to put together a group program and I'm going to sell it. And so I've got, 50 people in front of me that I can contact and offer it to. And then why the heck didn't anybody buy? It's like, it just doesn't work the same.
Right. Because not all those, if you're looking at an email list, like not all those people are actually leads. As a designer, someone who I'm having a conversation with, I mean, they're a lead. They're talking to me because they're interested in design. If you're selling, group programs or training, you have people on your list that are maybe just sort of interested in your topic, but they really have no interest in paying for a professional service around it. So you just have to accept that, a pretty good chunk of your audience is really not interested in buying.
Yeah. They may like you. They may think you're cool, but they never open their wallets to you. But they'll tell you. I find that's funny too. Like sometimes people will be like, oh, I just bought this program. And it's like, I offered that. So you love me and you communicate with me, but you want to buy from somebody else. And I think that's something a lot of entrepreneurs, when they're starting out online, experience as well, because they're giving a lot away up front and they're connecting with a lot of people. And at the end of the day, though, they're not closing those leads.
Well, I remember having that experience when I first started, of seeing people tweet, like literally even tweet links to my products that hadn't bought the product. And at first I felt really frustrated because I'm like, why won't you just buy it? Right? Like you're tweeting out a link telling other people to buy it, but you haven't bought it. And it seemed really odd to me, but I just kind of learned to appreciate, some people are going to help spread the word about you that haven't bought anything. And it always seems kind of unusual, but man, you need those people. Someone who helps spread the word about your business is actually at the end of the day more valuable than someone who just makes one purchase, right? Because they can help you get a lot of customers in. So I think you just have to learn, like, a lot of different people are going to make up your audience, and you have to appreciate the different roles that they play.
Absolutely. Such great advice. Laura, has there been a particular mentor who has supported you significantly in your journey, whether in business or in life in general?
I mean, I've had a lot of mentors. I love surrounding myself with entrepreneurs. Probably people listening to this are familiar with Marie Forleo's B School, which I actually started with her, which a lot of people don't know.
No, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so we created it together. We taught it together for the first 2 years, and then I left and she went on to obviously keep growing it. So, she was a mentor of mine. I loved working with her. She's a brilliant marketer. And yeah, for me, it's less about having kind of one person and more a collection of all the people that I've met and friends I've made along the way who have helped me. I just love hearing what it's like for other people in their business. I think it's often less about specific advice and more kind of like, okay, well, I know they've gone through this and this is how they handled it and it worked or it didn't work for them.
Mm-hmm. Great point. So if you could go back 5 years and then, make believe time machine, what advice would you give to your younger self about what to expect?
Oh man, it's a hard question, because in retrospect, of course, it all comes together the way it does. You might have more knowledge. Like, what would you really do with knowledge that you had anyway? Because you're at the point that you are 5 years ago. I mean, so of course, I asked myself, like, okay, 5 years ago is 2011. What was I doing in 2011? I was teaching B School. We launched B School in 2010, so 2011 was the second year of B School. I mean, in retrospect, it was a kind of crazy decision to leave B School because it was doing very, very, very well very quickly. But I just kind of knew that wasn't my business. basically we started it as a side project and then it really took off and we're like, okay, this is not a side project. Like we can't keep running it like a side project. This needs to be, both of our full-time business together. And I just wanted to pursue my own business, which was very much like an intuitive decision. So, that ended up working out. If I hadn't done that, I never would have built Edgar, which is a business that I love even more. So, I would guess I would just remind myself to always do that. Like there have been times that I've done and times that I haven't followed my own intuition. Like just keep following your intuition, I guess is what I would tell myself.
Fantastic. Do you have any favorite like self-care strategy or ritual that helps you stay, grounded and doing what you're doing?
So I have a 1-year-old, so this question is always sort of hard to answer. Like I don't have my morning routine is like feed him Cheerios. I think, I don't know. It's a lot of little things. I'm not a person that has really strong routines. I mean, something that I recently did for myself is get my own dedicated office, which I had never done in all my years of business. I've always worked from home or like I've worked at different co-working spaces briefly here or there, but I've always wanted my own office and I never let myself spend the money. And it feels like a huge accomplishment to have my own office, which is so funny because I could have done it years ago. I just never did. And it's actually really nice self-care to just have like the space to work in just for me.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Awesome. So Laura, let us know before we wrap up how people can get more information from you, how people can connect with you further.
Yeah, so you can find Edgar at meetedgar.com or Meet Edgar on Twitter or Facebook, and you can find me on Twitter at LKR.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Woo! So, how did you like that, huh? I'm super excited about scheduling software now, and I wasn't always. I used to be really resistant, but now that I've figured out how to make it work for me, I am such an advocate. And so what happened after this interview was I contacted Laura and her team, and I asked them if we could do something a little bit special for you, my listener, because I want to make sure that not only are you learning about these stories and these different resources that my guests share about, but that you're also able to implement. So Edgar is a premium service. They don't do free offers. They don't do limited trials or anything like that normally. But what they are going to do, because you are a loyal listener of this show, and I am such a flippin' fan of Edgar, that they are going to give you an entire month completely free. Pretty exciting. So that's not all. I decided because, when you get this software, it can be really overwhelming. And even if it's free, there's no value there if you don't know how to use it. The team at Edgar is fantastic. They have lots of tutorials. They're fun. They're interactive. And their support system is great. So I'm not concerned about you being able to get into Edgar and really, make it work for you. But it shouldn't be that difficult. I don't want to leave you on your own. But if you are thinking like, well, this is just a lot to absorb right now, and I appreciate Laura giving me a month free. That is super, super cool. However, I've just got so much on my plate. I don't know if I really can learn this right now. I don't know if I have the time. I don't know if it's really going to make a difference. All those questions that might come up. I know that you've got them. And so that's why I decided to actually create a video training for you of exactly how I use not only Edgar, but also Hootsuite, which I talked about in this episode. So I created a training video where I take you into my own personal Twitter account and my own personal Hootsuite account and my own personal Edgar account so you can see what I see behind the scenes. And I explain to you how and why I use the software the way I do so that you can replicate that or you can get inspired by that and do your own thing with it, but that you're not just left with resources that you then have to figure out how to use. I am so incredibly excited to offer you this. It is completely free. I don't want a penny for it. I want you to go in there. I want you to get it. And I want you to use it. And then I want you to let me know how it works for you, because I grew an audience in about 9 months from nothing to over 4,000 people on Twitter. And these are real people. You might be one of them. I have gotten so many listeners that had never heard of me before by engaging with people on Twitter. And I never would have been able to do it the way I'm doing it if not for Hootsuite and Edgar. So if you want that training completely free, there's a couple ways that you can get it. Number one, if you're in the USA, you can text BBR show altogether, BBRSHOW to 33444, and I will send you access to that training. Or if you're out of the USA or you just prefer to go to my website, bbrshow.com, you'll find a pop-up box there that lets you sign up to get access to my free training. Now, if you're saying, okay, cool, that's great, but I don't really want your free training, but I just want the free month from Edgar, that's fine too. In order to get that, you just go to bbrshow.com/Edgar. And then in the coupon code box, you're going to put in BBR Show. Now make it all caps and put it together, BBR Show. And that will give you a 100% discount off of your first month. Again, bbrshow.com/Edgar, and then BBR Show as the coupon code, all in caps, to get 100% off your first month. Super, super exciting. So that's all I've got for today. I hope you got a huge amount of value from this interview, from this episode. And if you did, of course, I would love it if you would leave me a review on iTunes. You know, this is a very saturated category that I'm featured in. I am so appreciative to everybody who has been leaving feedback, who's been subscribing, who's been letting me know how much they love the show. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. And you can keep it moving. You can keep me up there where everybody can see me by leaving your review and letting others know the value that you're getting from this show. Thank you so very much. And until next time, have a great day.